Good morning. Good morning. Happy Saturday, everybody. And happy post Thanksgiving. We are following the holidays. We're in holiday season. So I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. They're getting ready for their December with Christmas coming up and New Year. So hope everybody is going to enjoy their holiday. So good morning again, everybody. And welcome back to the Inner Circle podcast, where real estate meets real life, hosted by yours truly, Jillian Owens. I'm also AKA Your Homegirl Jillian. We are coming live to you from IntellectualRadio.com, YouTube, and across all my social media platforms. But don't worry if you missed the live show today. This episode and all others are available to stream on Intellectual Radio's website, their YouTube channel, iHeartRadio, and once again, all my social media platforms. So just to give everybody a recap, since we're a new podcast show, I like to just kind of run down exactly why we're here, what we're about. So the Inner Circle podcast is your ultimate destination for real talk about real estate, whether you're a first-time home buyer, an aspiring investor, or someone seasoned in buying, selling, and flipping homes. So each week we dive into the real life challenges and opportunities in the real estate world and explore how they impact you. So why is this podcast so important to me and to everybody out there? Because real estate isn't just about buying and selling. It's connected to so many parts of our lives, right? So from building generational wealth and finding financial stability to creating a space where life happens. Along the way, we all have experiences and lessons that can help each other grow and succeed. And that's why we're here to share them. So today we're bringing you another empowering episode filled with tips, tools, and inspiration to help you on your journey. So we also want you to be a part of the conversation. So call us live at 708-223-8953 with all your questions and your thoughts and experiences. Don't be shy out there. Your question might just help someone else out there too. So today's episode, I'm really excited about it because everybody loves this topic, right? We're talking about money, y'all. But today's episode dives into one of the most important foundations of real estate success and financial security: smart money management. So whether you're buying your first home or investing in a property or building a strong financial future, making wise financial decisions is the key to unlocking opportunities and creating lasting stability. Good financial habits don't just help you get ahead, they empower you to save, invest, and build the kind of wealth that lasts generations. So I'm thrilled to welcome my guest today, Priscilla Hoover. She's a personal financial expert and business coach who is passionate about helping people achieve financial security and success. Priscilla is here to share her expert advice on making smart money moves, saving more, creating multiple streams of income, and building a solid financial foundation for real estate and beyond real estate. So welcome, Priscilla.
Thank you.
So I want to start by, let's just give our listeners a little bit more about you, your background, and then we'll kind of get into other topics.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. First, let me just say it's an honor to be here. I thank God, of course, for always creating opportunities to talk more about finances and helping people just change the perspective of money. So again, it's an honor to be here. And a little bit about me. I am a personal financial expert who love helping singles, couples, business owners make better money choices, save more, and make money work for them. Far as my background, I am the CEO of Making It Happen Consulting. I've been in business a little bit over 5 years now. But prior to that, I was a branch manager at Chase Bank for close to 14, 15 years. And where I loved helping people with their finances in every sector, almost you can think of. And back in 2018, I was expecting, I had a baby and was on maternity leave. And I was scheduled to go back. But in between that time, I said to myself, I just need to take a break, and I had already financially prepared myself to do so. And I had already prepared myself to financially come off for 6 months and beyond. And I said to myself, I'll take a year. And then that year turned into, now it's been 7 years. So I'm just very grateful for that. And in between that time, within the first year, I had already started thinking of creative ways that I can take the skills that I had working in the corporate world. And now how can I start helping people one-on-one? You don't have too many managers take off and have that passion to want to help people one-on-one. So I decided to go into financial consulting, and I've helped hundreds, countless of people with their finances. So I'm here today to share more about what I do with my company and how I can help you also.
Okay, so since you're here to share, right? So we're gonna get
Yes.
into some of those experiences of how you've shared and taught people about money management. So let's just kind of dive into what are good or smart money challenge not challenges, but smart choices or strategies that people can start employing to just have better financial freedom.
Okay, well, the first thing I would say as to money choices is being more like cost conscious and future oriented. Like, making money decisions where you're spending your dollars, putting it more towards things that's leading to assets versus liabilities. For example, I've seen people have a car note, for example, for 5 to 6 years, pay off the car note, right? Which they became debt free from that car note. And then they'll go and take that car, trade it in, upgrade it just to go get another car note and create more debt. And so when it comes to making good money choices, what you want to do in that same scenario, because most people, like say for instance, within 5 years, nothing is wrong with the car. They just want something new. It's good to have something, but you have to be financially prepared to well, it just really depends. If you are financially set and you're able to do that, great. But what we often see, especially in our community, is people focusing more so on material things and their bank account is on zero. So let's just say you have a
Can you
person.
repeat that?
We have
Repeat that
people,
one more time.
they focus so much on material things, right? Image and what they have and the outer appearance of what it looked like. But then when you look at their bank accounts, it's on zero. As a matter of fact, it's 70% of Americans that keep less than $1,000 in their account. So that is a huge gap between, the wealthy and the poor. And that's because everybody want to keep up with the Jones. And so just making smart money choices would be, okay, after you pay off that car note, you take that same money that you have already, like say for instance, within the past 5 years, you're already used to paying $500-600 for a car note. Now that your car note is paid, you have already built your life around setting aside that 500 to 600 for the car note. Instead of taking that money to go and buy another car, getting back in debt for a car, and your car is already perfectly fine, it's running well, you take that same $500 to $600 and invest it into something else. And so you put it into a ETF, you put it into a stock, or it just really depends on which way you go with it. But my point is invest that. And so within the next 3 to 5 years, if you decide, hey, I want something new, you're in a much better position, right, to buy that new car. If you invest it the right way, you can already have a down payment on your new car. So that's just one of the strategies I would say as far as making good money choices. Instead of taking it, getting a debt again, take that same money and invest it.
So let's back up because as I hear you talking, and that was great information, but I kind of want to speak to a lot of the viewers or the listeners that people that just have a 9 to 5 job, right? Or they've got corporate careers, or you've got entrepreneurs out there, people that, they're making not a significant amount of money, but I don't know what the average income is, right, for a year or for someone. So you got somebody that's 75,000 to $100,000. They are renting.
Yeah.
They've got a car note. They want to buy. And they want to invest their money. They want to start preparing for retirement. So let's talk about just average people, right, that are working the 9 to 5, and I know I want to do something more with my money. And this speaks to even a lot of young people in their 20s and 30s that are starting their careers. What are some of the strategies that you would give that person that's working that 9 to 5, um, that just can make better money choices,
Yeah.
or even just prepare for investment, whether it's home ownership, whether it's just, financial investment, stocks, things like that, CDs, all of that. So what are the type of things that you would tell
Um,
somebody?
yeah. So the first thing I would do is just do like a financial analysis, just to kind of see where they're at, because everybody's story is different. Not everybody that's making 75,000 a year is actually, they live in check to check. So the first thing we would do is just take a look at their current situation and first just see if there's opportunity where they have disposable income. And the first thing I would say is come up with a plan. You got to have a plan. Most people have a desire to do this, to do that, but they don't have a plan in place. So the first thing I would say is just take a look at their current situation, find out what their goals are within the next 3 to 5 years or 10 years. And based on those goals, just see based on their current situation, are they saving enough? Are there opportunities to cut back on saving? I mean, cut back on expenses. And so, to be more specific, are you referring to like what would we do to help them budget or?
Well, to budget, I mean, budgeting is a big part of preparing for whatever you want to do for the future,
Yeah.
right? So budgeting, but then looking at, that 75,000. If I'm clearing 3 to 4,000, that's what my bring home is monthly, my net, right? So what am I doing with that money? Yes, I'm paying my rent. I've got a car payment, but I've got excess money. So instead, and I'll speak to me in my 20s. I was having a great time,
Yeah.
right? I was making great money. But saving when you get that great job right out of college, or even if you just get a great job out of high school, it could be any type of industry. You're not necessarily, and this is a community or a cultural thing for us, as
Yeah.
you mentioned
Yeah.
before. A lot of times smart money management is not passed down.
Right.
I was blessed to where I had that around me, but you still, when you're in your 20s and you're getting it, and your 30s, and you're still getting a nice amount of money. And we live in a world now, like you mentioned before, materialistic. There's social media. I see everybody with the nice cars. I see everybody that's going to brunch on Saturdays and Sundays, and I'm a brunch person. I just want to say that. So I enjoy brunch. I'm not going to give that up.
Yeah.
But for the young people out there, what advice or what kind of plan would you sit down with them, looking at their finances, even taking into affect their credit, their credit score. You're taking that to an account. Just and they talking to them about what their plan is. And me as a realtor, yes, I'm pushing home ownership to young people, even in their 20s, because that to me is the time for them to not only either buy their own property, buy investment property.
Yes.
Those are things that's my objective and my goal, to push down to young people. But they're also in tandem, they need to be working with a financial planner, which would be someone like you. So if you're sitting down with that 25, 26, 30-year old that's making a nice amount of money, you're looking at their plan. What are some of the things that you're telling them to do?
Okay.
Yeah.
So that far as like a financial planner,
Yeah.
that's more so a licensed
Okay.
financial
Right.
planner.
Mhm.
And so that they will look at the whole scope of everything. So
Okay.
if a person is doing really well, their take home is about $3,000 to $4,000, and they're looking to see, hey, what should I do in terms of buying a car, looking for investment properties, investing, and they're looking at the whole scope of everything, then for short-term or long-term goals, that would be like a financial planner that will look at the full scope of things. I would, in my area of expertise, it would be more so like, hey, here's some immediate things you can do in terms of savings, optimizing your current savings, putting it in the right accounts, right? Whether it's because most people are comfortable with just a savings account. Well, you have CDs, you have dividend accounts, you have investments, right? And so I would say for that person that's trying to get to the next level and they have income, hey, let's find a way to now make your money work for you. Have you thought about, one, do you currently have a financial planner? Because I think that it's a small space for you to learn how to invest your own money. But then I think every person should still have a financial planner to look at that full scope of within the next 30 years to be on track for retirement. So what I would recommend in this situation is, for me in my scope of business, is how could they save more consistently? Yes, you're bringing this money home, but are you saving it? Is it in the right account? How can we get this money where you're transferring it over to some investment products that the money can actually be working for you? Are you you can have things like, for example, dividends. If you have $3,000 that's just sitting in a savings account, and this is on a monthly basis, you can easily put that in a dividend account instead of you taking home a 0.5% every quarter. You can be making 7 to 8% monthly in a dividend account. So things like that I would recommend, but I would be personally teaching that young millennial that's growing how to invest on their own. I will be teaching them, making sure they have an emergency fund to put away 3 to 6 months of expenses for any event of an unexpected event or a life-changing event. Do you have 3 to 6 months of expenses put away in addition to your regular savings account? So that's kind of more so my scope. It's just to help people make better money choices with what they have. Are you saving consistently? And then if you are saving, how can we actually put that money to work? And so that's my
Okay.
scope. Yeah.
So let's flip that a little bit, because I kind of mentioned the young individual, right? The young person. What if you have somebody that's close to retirement? and they are, getting close to retirement. They're looking at their savings, and they're realizing, am I going to have enough money? Or, I'm not going to have enough money to retire. And they seek out your counsel. What's the conversation that you're having with an individual? I would say probably 55 and up that's starting to look at and think about retirement.
Okay. And so that's when I would kind of get my partners involved,
Okay.
because this person is already like 55, very close to retirement. And some people, they've worked on their job 20 plus years and they think, hey, I'm ready to retire. But I always advise to sit with a financial planner before you retire to make sure you're on track. So at that age, I would refer them over to a financial planner, because it's more things that come afterwards. They have to make sure that they Social Security intact, that they have enough for insurance, and all those things is what a licensed financial planner would pretty much come and play for. And I do have partners that I team up with, that I refer my clients over, depending on the age range and where they're at in their finances. A younger millennial or a mid-age a client, I will be more so trying to find out, okay, now that you have this, what's your goals? I will be more so focused on what's their goals. And based on their goals, I will customize a plan to make sure that they're on track to reach those goals.
So then let's take it to home ownership, right? Because the foundation of this podcast is based on real estate in real life. But for a homeowner, because I know you do a lot of home buying seminars, right?
Yes.
So what is your message to individuals sitting in front of you that are considering home ownership? What are some of the tools and the strategies that you're giving individuals looking to buy a home? And that can kind of go for investors too, that are looking to invest. What are some of the tips and strategies that you're giving them?
Yeah. So I would first say, because when it comes to home ownership, a lot of people, they only focus on what to do on the front end, right? I would always say, just like, count up the costs. And most people like to count up the costs on the front end, but not on the back end. So for customers like that, or people that are looking to buy a home, most time they're just focused on, okay, how can I get my credit together? How can I get my credit up to that 620 or 720 to buy this home? How can I make sure I have enough money in the bank for my down payment? How can I make sure I have enough for even furniture or things I may want to buy for the home? They're thinking about all these things, but they're not really thinking about, okay, after I buy the home, right? How do I make sure I'm secure in my home? I'm protecting my investment. So I always say to count up the costs on the front end and the back end to make sure that you're protecting your investment. So, for example, a lot of people will get prepared, buy the home, but then come back and say, wait a minute, my light bill went up, my taxes went up, something is wrong with my roof. Well, what I would do for that client on the front end is not only get them prepared for to buy that home, but make sure on the side of that, they're also building out an emergency fund, that as their living expenses or living arrangements elevate and grow, that their finances are able to keep up with that as well. So like I said, we'll be building out a emergency fund. We'll be having a separate account that they can have set to the side to invest as well. So just making sure they're prepared on the front end, the back end, like I said, for that unexpected event that may come up after they buy the home, they're already financially prepared.
And you hit on a critical part, and this is actually a topic that I plan to talk about in the future, but is for home ownership, and particularly, once again, talking about that young generation, because they are key,
Yeah.
right? So just preparing them for beyond closing on a home.
Yes.
And I tell this story all the time. I was recently working with a young man who bought a home about 4 or 5 years ago, and he was in foreclosure because, like, he didn't have the strategies, or he didn't know how to budget his money. He didn't know how important it was to be paying that mortgage and payment on time. He didn't have excess or savings, uh, just to cover roof maintenance, just regular maintenance money, right? So he didn't have those things. And he said that to me. He was like, I wish somebody would have told me the money that I needed after I bought the house. And you hit on that. So just being able to have a conversation with anybody that's looking for home ownership, or that's just entered home ownership, is having that rainy day fund, or the fund that's specifically dedicated to maintaining this property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just being being comfortable with budgeting with the new goals. Like, some people, they have to realize renting and owning is completely different. And when you get that home, life is different. You're on your own. You have to be prepared. So just, I've helped a lot of clients prior to buying a home, and I focus on making sure they know how to properly budget. They know how to allocate their funds right. They know how to automate their savings and make sure everything go in the right bucket seamlessly. So, we, like I said, we make sure that they're prepared on the front end and the back end of purchasing that home.
Got it. Well, we're going to actually stop here and take a quick break. I'm going to shout out the phone number once again to any listeners or callers, viewers out there that want to call in with questions to myself or Priscilla. Our phone number here is 708-223-8953. We will be back here in a few minutes. So welcome back. Welcome back to the Inner Circle podcast. I'm sitting here today with our guest, Priscilla Hoover, who is a personal finance expert. So we're just having a great conversation about money management tips, savings, budgeting, the types of things that Priscilla works with her clients on. So we're still diving deep into strategy. So I kind of want to get more into savings. I want to go back to that a little bit. Just even for myself, learning like what would you say right now are what are the like the top three saving strategies, methods that you're pushing clients to, or even just educating them about, beyond just the traditional savings? I know high yield savings accounts are good. CDs are good. What are like the top 3 to 5 things that you might be educating people about, that ways that they can save more money or
Yeah.
grow their money?
Yes, absolutely. So the three ways, as you mentioned earlier, most people are just comfortable with that regular savings account, which we know don't pay the best interest nowadays. So, if a person is more so a conservative person and they're not open to um, the market and things in that nature, and they like to just be very conservative, I always say a CD, especially if you don't plan to touch that money within a certain time frame. But if you're looking to go beyond that and really optimize your savings, it's other products out there like a Roth IRA, right? And with the Roth IRA, that's that money. I think you can put up to like $7,000 a year, and it's not taxable. So these are monies outside of your 401k at your regular employer that you can tuck away into this Roth account, where it's, like I said, it's not taxable, and you can put up to $7,000, and you can use it as a tax write-off at the end of the year. So that's one. Another saving strategy is dividends. I always say dividends are like an upscale from a regular savings account. So for example, if you have your regular savings at your bank, you also have high yield savings too. So it just really depends where they may be paying 3 to 4%. It just all depends on the product you have. They also have what we call a tiered savings account. Depending on how much the balances you have in there, it could increase your interest. But if you're looking to take it a step further, like I said, there's products out there that they can pay you dividends, which is very similar. It's interest income, and it's very similar to a savings account. And they have what we call dividend income. Dividend income is diving into the market a little bit, but you still have control on your assets. It's a very conservative product, depending on which one you go with. And if you set up a dividend account, let's say, for instance, let's go with a Coca-Cola. You can go with companies like, we got Coca-Cola, you have AT&T that's been around. I'm not really suggesting or recommending
Right.
these products. I'm just giving some different dividends out there that's been around for a very long time. And some of them pay monthly. Sometimes they pay quarterly. And if you look at the dividends, you'll see that some of them pay 5%, 6%, 7%. And I'm not necessarily saying just to go after whatever's paying you the high interest, but you got to look at the performance of that particular dividend. But you'll see better returns. Like, I keep my money in dividends. I have nothing against banks, but I want to make sure that my money is always working for me, because when you have money in your bank account, it's being used, whether you like it or not, it's being used. So I like to be more involved with the returns of my money. So I will put it in a safe product, like I said, like a Coca-Cola. I have my investments in, well, I have to, I don't want to, like I said, suggest what you should get into, but a dividend product would be good for savings as well. That's one of the things I recommend also. Another thing, so that's three. That's the top three, I would say.
Okay.
So a high yield savings account, CD is out there as well. You have a Roth IRA that you can go with as well. And that's a huge benefit because you get a chance to use it as a tax write-off. And dividends also is another strategy. The last one, if you just really want to take it a step further, is the stock market. And so
I was gonna ask, what is a way to be more aggressive with all the ones that you were talking about? I'm thinking, well, out of those, if I wanted to be aggressive, because I wanna see, more return on my investment faster. So which one of those would be more aggressive? And I'm thinking stocks has to be one of them, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So, you have what they call a conservative trader, you have a moderate trader, and you have an aggressive trader. Um, Most conservative traders are usually your seniors. You can have younger conservative traders as well, but you typically see it with the older crowd because they're trying to preserve. They're at the age they can't afford to take that much risk. You have moderate, whereas it's like, I'm conservative, but I'm okay with taking a little risk, right? And then you have the very aggressive trader. um, Products that you can go in, I wouldn't say it's necessarily aggressive, but more so on the conservative to moderate size, are exchange traded funds, right? Those are products that you can get into that they manage the money for you. This is for people that can't pay attention to their investments every day. Whereas your day traders, they're looking at it every single day. Even swing traders, they're looking at it every day. But people that have busy schedules, my business owners, people that are real estate agents, professionals, they don't have time to monitor their stocks daily. right? Not that you shouldn't, but they just don't have time. And so they may go with a, what I said, like I said, exchange traded fund. And that's kind of like a ETF. It's like a bundle of stocks that they pick the best stocks in the market, and it's being managed for you. And you get a chance to trade it like stocks. Now that's more so on a, they pick the stocks for you and they kind of manage it for you. If you want to get a little bit more aggressive, then you will pick individual stocks for yourself. You know, you have the Apples, you have the Microsoft. Again, I'm not suggesting, but I'm just putting ones out there. You have Nvidia now. All of these stocks are like off the charts in terms of performance. So it's all about just knowing how to get in there, look at the charts, assess how the stock is doing, understand the visuals and the languages of the stock market, and then just get out there. Now, you wouldn't want to just put everything out there, right? Because you want to diversify your portfolio, where you have part of it with your financial advisor. Like I said, if you are a professional on any space, even I have a financial advisor, because they look at a financial planner. They look at the whole big picture of everything concerning you, personal, business, everything, right? Even in insurance, when you retire, they look at everything. And that's their expertise. But if you say, you know what, I appreciate that 10 to 15% that they're bringing me back, but I think I can have a little bit more control, why I can turn it, 15% to 30 and 40%, and I'm able to do it. They have platforms out there now that I teach my clients, hey, this is how you understand how to trade on your own right from the comfort of your home. So there's individual stocks out there, and it's all out there. It's public information that will show you what's currently trending, what's doing well, what the stock is projected to do within the next 3 to 5 years. And it's all about just knowing how to do your research in order to get into those.
I know you mentioned dividends, so I want to kind of go back to that a little bit. So, because I know we talked about that 9 to 5 worker, right? That's working for a public corporation that has stocks. Do you advise, or is that something that you kind of open up a conversation of something they may want to consider is investing in the company that you work for?
Absolutely. I recommend both,
Okay.
because you can still, I always say, if you currently work for a company, participate in their 401k plan. Find out how they're going to match, right? If you invest, if you can put up to 10%, especially for a younger, like a millennial, someone that's under 25, they don't have a whole lot of bills. They don't have a whole lot going on. It just really depends. If you can invest and put away 10%, 15%. I had one kid that was doing 20 and 30%. He was staying home with his mom, right? But the more you can invest in your 401k with your job and they match it, the better off you'll be in terms of retirement. But, the regular mom or family that, people that have kids, they may not be able to invest that aggressively with their employer, maybe 5%, 7%, even some 10%, some less than 5%. So, but I would recommend to invest with your 401k, but not get too comfortable with that alone, because it's still being managed by money managers, which is fine. But nowadays, with AI technology, with things being so innovated and ready and accessible to us, you could see those returns much faster, taking a portion of your disposable income every month, right? So so let's take a look at your check, right? Each month. You already expect your insurance to come out. You may have insurance, you have taxes that's going to come out, and then you have your 401k that's coming out. You have control over that to say, okay, my employer is matching dollar for dollar. If I had a company that's matching dollar for dollar, I'm maxing it all the way out.
Absolutely.
And some companies will only let you max it, they'll give you a certain percentage as to what you can max. So whatever that max is, if you're young and you're able to put away, the more you put away into a good company, the better you are in your 401k. Okay. Outside of your 401k, let's assume you paid all your bills for the month and you're wondering, okay, what can I do with these monies, right? I don't want to just have it sitting in a savings account. I would first look at, of course, dividends, right? If it's just going to be sitting, or high yield savings. My other option is, how can I take a portion of that, right, and transfer over to an investment product? So like I said, you want to kind of split it up. You got your dividends, which is part of the stock market, but it's a more conservative approach. Then you have individual stocks. Then you have, ETFs. It's all kind of different areas there. And that's kind of what I show and teach, not more so how to invest in what you should buy, but more so understanding the different products that are out there and available. This public information. So to answer your question, you have your 401k at your job. that you should max out if you can, as much as you can. Outside of that, you're still able to invest on your own. You can get an IRA to tuck away up to 7,000 a year, depending on your age. And then you still have dividends. You can, it's all about allocating, finding a way. This is what I have left. And what I do is help my clients allocate. You have 3,000. What can we do with this $3,000? You're looking to buy a home. Let's take this portion and put it over into your savings. You look into, or your well, savings if you're looking to buy a home, right? It just depends on how soon. Let's take another portion of your savings. Let's allocate this over to a dividend. Let's take another portion of your income and let's set it up for investing, right? It's all about splitting it out. I mean, splitting up what you have. And then the rest, you can kind of maybe just keep in your regular savings for things you may need. Or if you look to travel or whatever the case may be, you're looking to buy an investment property. So it just really depends on that customer need. I customize a plan for what they have left to now diversify it. But it's all, the end game is, how can I make this work for me?
So I'm guessing, so say I work with you or sit down with you in year 1, but I come back in year 5 because I'm saying, oh, I want to do something different. So what I'm doing today might not necessarily be the same plan that I want to have in 5 years. So like how do you adjust? Like if I year 1 we come up with a plan, I succeed everything in 5 years. I'm coming back to you because now I've got a different plan. I guess, how do you work with a client that wants to adjust things? Because I'm guessing the same plan is fine now, right?
Yeah.
Because based on returns and things like that, it might work for me now in the next 5 years. But how do people adjust their plan? Or do you recommend you stay in these things, these high yield savings accounts, CDs? Like this is just it. If I want to come back, if I come back to you and say, hey, Priscilla, I'm making more money now. I want to be more aggressive. I know we did these things. What else can I be doing? So, just explain to
Yeah.
me what would you advise for that type of client?
In that situation, I would refer that customer over to a financial planner
Okay.
because things are constantly shifting and changing. You could always say, you know what, I like to put more on your own without the financial advisor. You can always say, you know what, I'm making more money now. I would like to add more to this product that I have, right? But I wouldn't really, for me, being a personal financial expert, I wouldn't really recommend, okay, now go into this product now or do this. But a financial planner could look at everything and say, okay, things are not the same for you 5 years ago are that they are now. Things are changing. Inflation is changing. We're going to have to shift some things up. And that's kind of where you would have your financial planner working hand in hand with your own personal, because I deal with the personal investments that you're doing on your own. But when you have life-changing events that's constantly changing, you want to make sure within the next 30 years that makes sense for you. And that's where the financial planner come in place.
So how important is it for me to be looking at what I'm doing now and talking to you, saying, is this okay? Should I be changing this up? How often do you kind of check in with the clients and things like that? So
Yeah, no, regularly,
yeah.
like once a quarter, I
Okay.
check in with my clients and kind of just see, is there a need? Is there anything different? Because what I may be dealing with a customer that currently just needed to find a way to start saving more. And I may check back 3 months and they're like saving really good. Okay, now it's time to take you to the next level, right? Let's take a look at some other options of how you can now put this money to work. And so let's say, for instance, fast forward, they're already putting that money to work. They may come back and say, hey, when I first started off with this thing, I was a little nervous about different investments. So I decided to just only go with dividends. But now I'm more comfortable with what to do. I see these other stocks off the chart. How can I actually get into those? And what should I do? How do I? Well, let me just say, when I train and teach my clients as to what to look for investments, they kind of know what to look for. But sometimes they'll come back and say, okay, I think I'm ready to do a little bit more. And so they just may have questions about how to utilize the self-directed tools on to now take those next steps. Not necessarily me telling them what to get in, but just showing them how to look up the performance of how they're doing. Or they may say, I'm looking to buy a car. I'm looking to buy a home. And when they first come to me, I create a customized plan based on their short-term and their long-term goals. When they come back 3 to 6 months, we may take a look at that plan and say, hey, something changed within the plan. This is on the personal finance side. They come back and I say, okay, this no longer makes sense for your financial situation. In the beginning, that was not working out. You're pretty good there now. We can cross this off. Let's move to these next steps. So I do help my clients along the way, far as progressing, going from not being able to manage money well to now being able to save, to now them being ready to now tap into multiple streams of income and make that money actually work for them. And so, and you may have clients that come and say, hey, I'm already saving, I'm already doing good. I'm interested in learning how to invest. And so that's kind of where I was like, I'd be like, okay, let's take a look at what you're currently doing. You may say, you know what, within the next 3 to 5 years, I'm looking to do this and I don't have a clue where to go. Or I may have a client that say, I'm looking to retire, right? I may say, hey, this is something I can do. Or, you know what, I actually recommend that you sit with a financial planner or advisor. That way they can look at a longer scope, 30 years out for you with that.
Got it. As I was listening to you talk, I was thinking one of the big things that we've seen in real estate as far as returns and how people are buying property, whether it be homes or investment property, is Bitcoin and crypto.
Yes. Oh,
So that's always,
yes.
that's probably could be a whole episode on its own, right?
Yes.
But talk to me a little bit. I'm guessing you get questions about Bitcoin or
Yes.
crypto. So what are they? And what's your opinion or your expertise
Yes.
about it?
So I actually love Bitcoin.
Okay.
It's the hottest thing. I mean, of course, nothing is guaranteed, but when it first started a couple of years ago, a lot of people, no, it actually started years ago, 10 plus years ago, but people were not as confident in Bitcoin because it was not regulated back then. And Bitcoin is like, it's not necessarily part of the stock market. It's almost like an electronic way to make money, especially with AI and everything. It's you can 10x your money much faster. It's a much volatile currency, but as fast as it can go up, it can go down. But there are tools to help protect you from that. But it's all about just being comfortable and confident in what you're investing into. Knowing, for example, Bitcoin. Me personally, I don't think, I could be wrong. I don't think I think Bitcoin is around. It's here to stay. Of course, we can't guarantee anything. But when I first started investing in Bitcoin, I started off at 19,000. But there's people that started off when it was only $100. Now it's just reached over $100,000 last week. So imagine a person that put $1,000
Mhm.
in Bitcoin at $100, and it went to 100,000. That person is living very, very well right
Right.
now. And so Bitcoin, it's here to stay. You even see ATMs with Bitcoin now. Yes, there's Bitcoin ATMs out there, and people are actually, if they want to send a quick pay to a person or they want to send money, they send it through Bitcoin. It's definitely another currency. Some people compare it to gold. You have
Mm.
gold, and then some people say Bitcoin is the next like gold, but an electronic kind of gold type of thing. So I'm very excited about Bitcoin, to be honest. There's other big companies like Ethereum out there
Mhm.
as well. So yeah, it's my take on cryptocurrency. It's just another way to invest, where you get your returns are more lucrative, I guess I should say, than the regular stock market. They're both good, but Bitcoin is a whole nother level.
Nice. No, thank you for sharing that, because
Cryptocurrency.
I'm sure it's a lot of viewers out there that have that question and just don't know. They're afraid to ask, well, what is crypto? What is Bitcoin? How do I get involved in it? So thank you for sharing that info. I kind of want to change gears a little bit and talk about businesses, because we both are entrepreneurs, right? And
Yes.
what we do. And I know before you enter entrepreneurship, you are oftentimes looking at your personal finances.
Mhm.
And that may be a goal that I have out of my personal finances is I want to start a business. So for somebody that comes to you and they say, Priscilla, hey, I really want to start this clothing brand, or I really want to start a restaurant, or, I want to start a real estate brokerage. What are you looking at their personal financial plan or portfolio? What are some of the strategies you're giving them to, move forward with business ownership?
Yeah. So the first thing I do is find out what type of business they're looking to open up. Have they counted up the cost as to what it costs to go in that field, in that area? Just get an idea of what they're looking to do, what the costs look like within the next, like, for example, 5 years or so. And we just make sure, first we want to get them legal, right? Just depending on the type of business. If it's a sole proprietorship, you have a little bit more flexibility with that. But when you're going into the LLC, corporations, just really kind of getting them legal first. The other thing is just helping them. Like I said, it depends on the scope of the business and how much it's going to cost to run that business. And from there, we just take a look at their personal finances to find out how much disposable income from their personal finances could they put aside to start now saving for that business that they're looking to open up. And so, like what else we do? Was it another question you asked with
No,
that?
just for any aspiring entrepreneurs out there, as they're looking for at their personal financial savings or just my money management. I want to start a business. What expertise or what advice would you give them? So
Yeah, just like I said, just making sure that you the count they count up the costs for the business, because most business owners, when they go into it, they don't really count up the costs on the front end, and most businesses fail because sometimes they go into it putting too much money into it up front, right? And even on the back end, not even having loans or business credit, they go right in putting everything into it, only to later find out within the first year the business failed. So just really finding out what the costs look like, how much do you think it's going to take to run this business over the next 5 years, and really just putting them in a plan, putting them in a position that they're able to put away in the savings towards that business, within the time frame they're looking to do that. Or even maybe even consider investing also to kind of spike up the pace of saving for that business. But I focus more so on helping them save, but also helping them get legal also, in terms of that business.
So talk to us a little bit about that, because if that's a service that you provide, I'm sure people would love to know. Like, so what is that? What does that involve? Getting legal?
Yeah, so just making sure that some people will used to come to the bank and they deposit all these checks into a personal account. It's like, you want to make sure you have everything clear for your business. If you're running a business, get things on paper, find out what suits your business. If it's a sole proprietorship, you're just starting up and you're not looking to put a lot of money into it right away. And you're not big on your name right now. Some people I've seen them just go with their name. I'm not advising to necessarily just do that.
Mhm.
And because you have to talk to an accountant to find out what business account is best for your business.
Right.
But if you go with like a sole proprietorship, I'll kind of just explain ways to do that. If they're looking to start up an LLC, I'll advise them the paperwork they need, how to file a tax ID number, how the documents they need to set up a bank account, and just talking a little bit more about even establishing business credit, but that's down the road. And I
Well, that's a big thing. And I know, I have a big community of business entrepreneurs. So, and everybody doesn't know how to establish business credit. And then we're all on Instagram and Facebook, and we're watching all these YouTubers talk to us about business credit. So, like, in just, 30 seconds, what's your advice on business credit?
With that, I would just say, it kind of works like personal credit, right? So and a lot of companies, especially banks, are not willing to necessarily give you credit right away. So just really establishing, and that's why it's important to get legal on paper. Because if you come and say, I want to file a credit card, for example, a bank, and you don't have a legal business account, they're less likely to probably give you credit. So just making sure you're legal, you have the balances there, you have the bank account established with that bank, start there first. I mean, you have your Capital Ones, you have your Express, right? That they'll probably give you a chance, but I would say start with your bank after you have established a relationship and apply for the credit. As far as the different sources and everything for it, that's not really my area of expertise. I focus more so on setting up the business and getting everything established, but I'm pretty sure I know someone that deals with credit that can get you set up with that.
Good. No, that's the more information that we can get, the better, and the more resources, excuse me, that you have to connect people with individuals that can establish business credit. That's important. So
Yes.
I wanted to bring that up. Last thing I kind of wanted to talk about was multiple streams of income, and
Yeah.
that kind of goes with individuals looking to start businesses. They may even work a 9 to 5, but they want to start a second business. I know you believe in multiple streams of income.
Yes.
So tell me why. And then, what's your advice to individuals that are looking to increase, those avenues?
Yes, sure. So I'm really big on multiple streams of income because I think it's a main ingredient to financial freedom. It's the main ingredient to retiring. Like, just imagine trying to retire off of just a savings account. It's not going to happen. So most people are just so comfortable with their regular 9 to 5, which is earned income. That's fine. But there's 6 other streams of income that you could focus on. But the most median household focus on 1 to 2. The average 6 to 7 figure, 8 figure have 3 to 4 streams of income. And so I just take my time to really educate my customers on all 7 different streams of income. And from there, based on their current situation, I'll say, hey, I recommend these for you. Here's some options, but here's 3 to 4 you can kind of start tapping into right away. And so just like I said, you have the earned income. That's your normal 9 to 5. But then one of the ones you can kind of just tap into right away is profit income. That's your side hustle. Because I think everybody have a side hustle, right? They just have not recognized they can get paid for it. I think everybody in everybody, right? They do something they love doing. They help out people. They just haven't realized they can get paid. So once they realize that, they can create that as a side hustle. That's another stream of income. Once they get that.
That I'm not even cutting you off, but I'm always, as we're having these conversations, I'm always thinking about my next show, right?
Yeah.
That actually is a great topic, the side hustle, because everybody has a side hustle. Or like you said, if there's something you're really good at and you're not even thinking, it could be your side hustle. It could be a side hustle. So I didn't mean to interrupt you. Keep going.
No, no, absolutely. Like, it's just some people just don't have that knowing, and they feel like, you know what, I do this, and you could do it to help. But it's like, if you're doing something, you have a need, you can more than likely get paid for that. And then once you actually create a side hustle and a business from that, you can expand that for another stream of income. It can just go so many ways with profit income. Another stream of income that I tend to say, hey, you can start diving into this right away, is that regular person that's their disposable income $3,000 to $4,000 a month. You shouldn't have that just sitting into a savings account or a checking account. You should be putting it into an account that's going to be working for you. What most people don't know, dividend income can actually pay your bills depending on how much you have there. If you have money sitting into a dividend or even a high yield savings account, we have what we call interest income. The interest income is going to pay you, right, for the money sitting in the account. That can be monthly, that can be quarterly. Then you take that money, you can reinvest it back into your dividend, or you can take that money and you could pay off your light bill, your gas bill. I've even seen people pay their mortgage with interest income. It all depends on the balances. The goal is to make money work for you. You got to find a way to give your money a purpose, because if you don't give your money a purpose, listen, you'll work your whole life, right, trying to work for money when you need to learn how to make money work for you. And that's where interest income come in at. It's working for you. It's money sitting there. It's passive. It's money that they are using behind the scene, and then they pay you for doing that. And then you take those monies and pay another bill with it as well. And the third stream of income, I say, hey, you can tap into this right away, is what we call capital gains. And that's when you tapping into the stock market, right? You're diving into it a little bit. And that can be, again, in addition to your regular 401k, you can have a Roth or IRA, you can have a savings. These are all different buckets and vehicles you can put your money in. So capital gains is another one. Even with real estate, capital gains as well.
Yeah, that's when you said it, I instantly thought of real estate. I mean, selling, capital gains. We pay a capital gains tax.
Exactly.
I know that as a flipper. I'm like, paying that tax. But yeah, no, capital gains is a big strategy. I know as well. So I kind of want to go with key takeaways for all our listeners. So just 2 questions that I have for you. So what are 3 actionable steps anyone listening can take to start improving their financial situation right now?
The first thing I would say is and so this would be for a person, is this for a person that's struggling to just anybody?
Overall. Yep.
Okay. Spend less than what you make.
Nice. Okay.
Spend less than what you make. And then even with that money where if you're spending less than what you make, you should be able to now save more. That money you're saving, you have to now give it a purpose, right? And that purpose you're giving it should be able to work for you. You got to find a way to take that money and put it to work that it can kind of cycle back around to you. So spend less than what you make. What's the second thing?
Yeah, you tell us.
I say so spend. Okay,
that's a big one though, right? So I get that's number 1, right?
Spend less than what you make. The second thing is give your money purpose, right? Because you should be freeing up more. I think everybody should take a moment and just do an audit, right? And that's one of the things we help with too, but do an audit. Take that time you need, that financial self-care time, to do an audit on your cash flow to find out what's coming in versus what's going out. You'd be surprised how many people do not have a clue of their cash flow and what they actually take away. So again, find oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought.
Purpose with your money.
Find purpose. So first, find purpose with your money. And then the third thing is, when you actually find purpose with that money, find out which vehicle that can get you the fastest return. Okay. So That's
Those are
all.
the three.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So if somebody is feeling overwhelmed by their finances, what's the first thing that they should do to kind of regain control?
The first thing is breathe.
Okay.
And the second thing I would say is you have to come up with a plan, right? If what you're doing is not working, you have to get that extra support, right? And expertise you need to find out where you're at. Because some people have the motivation behind doing better, they just don't know where to start. And so, if you want to do better, you got to take actionable steps. And the first thing is you have goals in place. First find out what's your why, right? Everybody needs to know their why, and from that point, you got to come up with a plan. You got to come up with goals and put everything in place. And it's people that's overwhelmed with their finances, chances are they're not they people that's overwhelmed with their finances, they're not happy with their overall income. So like I said, I will recommend just getting with an advisor, getting with a financial planner to find out where am I at, within the next 3 to 5 years, 10 years, this is where I plan to be. I need to put a customized plan together in order to achieve the goals I'm looking to achieve.
Great, great, great information, Priscilla. Thank you so much for coming on our show today. You have given
Thank
us
you.
a wealth of information, keyword
Thank
on
you.
wealth.
Yes.
So tell our listeners, our viewers, where they could connect with you or learn more about what you're doing, or even work with you.
Okay. Well, my business is Making It Happen Consulting, and I could be, you guys can look me up, Making It Happen Consulting.com, or you could follow me on Making It Happen Consulting as well, or you could email me at Priscilla at mihforyou.com.
Great, great. Once again, that's a wrap for today's episode of the Inner Circle podcast. A huge thank you to our amazing guest, Priscilla Hoover, for sharing her expertise and practical strategies to help not only buyers, sellers, and investors, but just and entrepreneurs as well make smarter financial decisions. But anyone looking to level up their finances, I think that's what we heard today. So, Priscilla, your tips were inspiring, and I know our audience has gained so much value from this conversation. Remember, achieving financial freedom starts with having the right mindset, knowledge, and taking consistent steps towards your goals. If you missed any part of the show today, don't worry. You can catch today's episodes on all intellectual radio platforms, iHeartRadio, and across all my social media channels at Your Homegirl Jillian. Don't forget to tune in live every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time for another episode where real estate meets real life. As always, I'm your host, Your Homegirl Jillian. Stay focused, stay intentional, and keep building your dreams. Thanks for tuning in to the Inner Circle podcast. I'll see you next week.